The galaxy is full of killers who make your average thug look like a joke. Before the Force even enters the picture, there are assassins like Fennec Shand, elite killers who combine ancient skills with cutting-edge tech, patience, and lethal precision. If you think you can rush in and take her out, think again. Today we start with Fennec, a sniper whose quiet patience and cybernetic resilience set the deadly efficiency baseline. Here's what you need to survive facing her. Fennec Shand. Fennec Shand is the perfect example of how terrifying a human assassin can be before any supernatural powers come into play. She's an elite mercenary and master sniper known for stalking targets with deadly patience. What sets her apart is a cybernetic enhancement. After a fatal injury, her abdomen was replaced with mechanical parts that make her tougher and harder to put down. Before you imagine a simple sniper hiding in a tower, know this: Fennec's method is equal parts brutal efficiency and stealth. She picks spots where she blends into the environment, rocky terrain or shadows, sometimes waiting hours for the perfect moment. When she strikes, it's not a hailstorm of blaster fire. It's a single, perfectly placed shot that stops her target cold. Her skills don't stop at sniping. In close quarters, she's a trained martial artist who uses acrobatics and blaster pistols with devastating effect. Her cybernetic core lets her absorb damage that would take down a normal human and keep fighting, full-on survival mode. Opponents who underestimate her stamina or think they've clipped her for good learn patience cuts both ways. If you face Fennec, your survival protocol has 3 rules. First, deny her sight lines, stay out of open areas, disrupt her scope with flares or smoke, and keep moving. Second, don't assume she's down until fully incapacitated. Her cybernetic parts make killing her outright tough. Third, if you can't gain a clear advantage, disengage fast. Charging her sniper spot is the fastest way to become the hunted. Fennec Shand shows the deadly baseline, an elite human assassin who already raises the stakes by being smart, patient, and enhanced. But if you thought that was scary, wait until the next assassin with a whole different set of deadly tricks. Aurra Sing. Aurra Sing isn't just any assassin. She's a former Jedi turned cold-blooded sniper with reflexes sharpened by the Force. Imagine a ghostly figure, pale as bone, standing perfectly still on a ridge while you sweat under her sightline, unaware that she's already calculating your every move. That eerie silence? It's part of the psychological game she plays. Before you dismiss her as just a sharpshooter, hear me out. This woman is an ex-Jedi whose battlefield instincts have been twisted into something deadly precise and utterly ruthless. Officially, she's known for her chalk-white skin and that strange antenna implanted in her skull, which acts as a tactical comlink. This isn't just a creepy cosmetic. This antenna lets her communicate and receive targeting info without lifting a finger, keeping her lethal focus locked on the hunt. Her force sensitivity doesn't just boost her accuracy, it enhances her reflexes and lets her anticipate enemy moves before they happen, turning her sniper's patience into sheer inevitability, her deadliest flaw. The classic mistake of underestimating her close quarters skills. People think she's a sniper, keep your distance and you're safe. Turns out, no. Aurra can flip from long-range ghost to up-close assassin in a heartbeat. She's just as comfortable drawing a blaster pistol or employing force-augmented anticipation to dodge attacks and strike first in a deadly game of cat and mouse. So what's the survival playbook when facing her? First, minimize predictable movement. If you walk the same streets or expose yourself repeatedly, you make her job easier. She's tracking patterns, not just targets. Next, disrupt her electronic comms. That antenna isn't magic. It's tech that can be jammed or scrambled to throw off her deadly coordination, and if confrontation is unavoidable, force the fight indoors or into tight spaces where her sniper vantage point is neutralized. Close quarters limit her line of sight and blunt the long-range edge that makes her such a nightmare from a distance. Aurra Sing's silent menace is a terrifying glimpse into what a sniper with Jedi training and tactical tech can become. But if you think that's bad, wait until you meet the Mandalorian hunter who takes the hunt to the streets with armor and arsenal in the next section. Din Djarin. Din Djarin isn't your average assassin lurking in shadows. He's a Mandalorian warrior shaped by tradition and battle, equipped with some of the deadliest armor and weapons in the galaxy. His suit is made from Beskar, the nearly indestructible metal known for stopping blaster bolts and even glancing lightsaber strikes. This isn't just armor, it's a walking fortress. Armed to the teeth, Din wields the IB-94 blaster pistol, fast, precise, and lethal in close to mid-range combat. For long-range kills, he uses his iconic Amban sniper rifle. This weapon doesn't just fire projectiles, it emits disruptive electric pulses that can incapacitate or disintegrate targets. Think of it as a sniper rifle turned molecular level executioner. But that's not all. Din's arsenal includes whistling birds, tiny, smart mini missiles that hunt down multiple enemies at once. If foes get close, he fires a grappling hook to pull off slick maneuvers or grab weapons. His jetpack isn't just for show either. It gives him aerial mobility that makes him unpredictable, allowing quick assaults or escapes. Here's the kicker. Many enemies underestimate how tough and dangerous his armor tech combo makes him. time. They see the bulky Beskar plating and assume slow target or easy kill. Turns out Beskar is basically a cheat code for durability. Shots that would take down normal targets bounce off. Plus, Din hides flamethrowers, whistling birds, and wrist gadgets even when pinned, so trying to wrestle his gun away usually backfires. Another fatal mistake is ignoring his mobility. The jetpack isn't just for dramatic entrances, it's core to how he fights. Lose his jetpack and you clip his wings hard. Without it, dodging, repositioning, or fleeing becomes much harder. Close range grappling is tricky too. That's when Din's armor and combat skills shine brightest. To survive against Din, you have to know his defenses and target weak spots like armor joints, neck, or legs. Heavy sustained fire or high energy weapons wear him down, but only if you aim well. Disable the jetpack when you can. Avoid close melee unless you're confident. Din thrives in frontline endurance and close combat. Oddly, diplomacy can throw him off. His personal code and loyalty to Grogu mean he's not always hunting kills. Sometimes backing off or showing you're not a threat buys time or peace, a tactic most opponents miss until it's too late. So heavily armored, versatile, and nearly unstoppable, Din Djarin isn't your typical assassin. If you thought assassins stick to shadows, meet the Mandalorian, an arsenal walking around who demands attention. But if you think surviving a Mandalorian is tough, wait until you meet the next hunter on this list, Jango Fett, whose legacy helped define what it means to be a Mandalorian warrior. Jango Fett. Jango Fett wasn't just another bounty hunter, he was the original Mandalorian mercenary who turned tactics and gadgets into a full special ops package. Before anyone else copied him, Jango perfected mixing high-tech weaponry with Mandalorian combat training, creating a hunting style deadly both up close and across the stars. And here's the kicker. Calling Jango just a bounty hunter is a huge mistake. He wasn't running simple hit jobs. He packed jetpack mobility, flamethrower traps, and dual Westar 34 blasters firing faster than most enemies could react. Officially, Jango appears in Attack of the Clones as the genetic template for the clone army. But beyond that, his real setup is clear. Twin blasters holstered for rapid fire, armor tough enough to shrug off heavy hits, and gauntlets loaded with grappling lines and flamethrowers. His jetpack lets him drop in from above, reposition mid-fight, or yank enemies out of cover with a zip line. His ship, the Slave Eye, isn't a standard ride. It's customized for heavy assault with seismic charges that can turn an asteroid field into a death trap. During the Geonosis battle, Jango used these not just to target Obi-Wan Kenobi, but to control the whole battlefield by blocking escape routes. That's next level special ops thinking. Here's where it gets tricky. Jango's arsenal means you're dodging blaster bolts, bursts of flame, and zip lines pulling you into his sights. His jetpack movement makes him unpredictable and a nightmare to pin down. His readiness to face Jedi head-on shows he mastered countering lightsabers with combined tactics. Blaster fire to bait blocks, grappling hooks to trap, and flamethrowers to force mistakes. The big mistake opponents make? Underestimating his strategy and mobility. They think, just shoot the bounty hunter, ignoring that fighting Jango is like facing an entire squad solo. They get sloppy, fail to disable his jetpack, or blunder into his flamethrower traps. Surviving Jango means grounding him first. Neutralizing the jetpack is priority one. Without it, he loses his aerial edge and becomes predictable. Using electromagnetic pulses or precision shots to fry his propulsion forces him into long fights that drain his ammo and fuel. Tight corridors or cluttered terrain can limit his gadgets and force slow, exhausting battles. Also, randomize your movement and avoid predictable routes. Jango plans calculated engagements, so unpredictability disrupts his flow. Smart fighters use his own attachments against him. Knowing he's protective over Boba Fett, psychological warfare or baiting hesitation can swing the fight. In the Mandalorian mercenary world, Jango sets the bar. He combines lethal precision with ruthless pragmatism, piloting a heavily armed starfighter while laying deadly traps on the ground. Trying to outgun or outmaneuver him without disabling his core tech is basically a death sentence. But if you think Jango's high-tech style is the deadliest Mandalorian story, wait till you meet his son, who takes this template and pushes it way further. Boba Fett. Boba Fett. Boba Fett isn't just a cheaper copy of Jango Fett. He's the ultimate evolution of Mandalorian hunting craftsmanship, wrapped in the myth of one of Star Wars' most famously enduring legends. An unaltered clone raised as Jango's son, Boba's gear upgrades the original template with a deadly arsenal that turns him into a walking bomb squad, sharpshooter, and close quarters nightmare all at once. Here's the catch. Boba's signature kit goes far beyond the obvious blaster pistols and jetpack. Sure, he's got that classic jetpack missile ready to blow your day up, but his wrist gauntlets double as flamethrowers capable of scorching foes in seconds. Throw in lethal gadgets like sonic grenades that stun and incapacitate, knockout gas to quietly take down anyone too close, and knee pads that secretly shoot concealed dart launchers loaded with toxins or knockout agents. Oh, and he's got silent sonic dampeners, so when he finally blows something up, nobody nobody hears it coming until it's too late. He's less wears the armor and more is the armor, rigged with hidden tools everywhere you'd least expect. You might think you're safe if you just disarm his visible weapons or blast off his jetpack. Turns out, no. That's exactly the fatal mistake most people make when facing Boba. Assuming that taking out the obvious gear puts the legendary hunter out of commission ignores his brutal durability and the nearly mythic fact he has survived multiple lethal encounters, most famously escaping the Sarlacc pit, the galactic desert's version of a death sentence. While most victims end up slowly digested by that monster, Boba's armor and sheer stubbornness helped him crawl out alive, forever cementing the reputation that he simply refuses to die. So how do you survive Boba Fett? The first priority has to be targeting his mobility and sensory systems. Disrupt that jetpack or scramble his helmet's targeting optics and you blunt his ability to control the fight from a distance, forcing him into less favorable close quarters. But be cautious. His explosives and dart launchers make tight, confined spaces dangerous unless you can isolate or defuse those hidden threats. You're basically playing a deadly game of don't get cornered by a landmine wearing armor. In his crime lord phase, Boba introduces a new survival challenge: psychological complexity. No longer just a relentless assassin, he becomes a ruler who blends fear with respect, and that means a different kind of fight. Open hostility might get you quick trouble, but sometimes subtle co-option, alliances, or mutual interests can buy you precious time or even protection under his banner. Never mistake his silence for weakness. Every move is calculated. Boba Fett's legend is more than just firepower. It's his relentless endurance, adaptability, and the psychological weight he carries. While some hunters rely on brute force, Boba's mythic survivability and evolving role demand tactics just as much as trigger fingers. But if you think Boba is a straightforward heavy hitter, wait until you meet the cold, calculating Duras who specializes in Jedi hunts. Cad Bane is next. Cad Bane is the ultimate anti-force bounty hunter, a Duras gunslinger who doesn't match Jedi powers but outsmarts them with ruthless tech and brutal tactics. He's basically a Western outlaw dropped into a galaxy of lightsabers, rocking rocket boots, breathing tubes, and a kit designed to turn Jedi strengths upside down. Before you brush him off as just another blaster merc, hear me out. Bane's entire career is built around taking down Jedi, proving you don't need the Force if you come armed with the right gear and a cold mind. Officially, he's a non-Force sensitive Duras feared across the Clone Wars as one of the deadliest hunters around. But his real power, neutralizing Jedi advantages. His breathing tubes let him shrug off Force chokes and suffocation. Rocket boots deliver explosive vertical bursts that make him nearly impossible to track. Gauntlets pack electric shocks strong enough to knock out Wookiees. The cable launcher, half grappling hook, half snare, that's trap Jedi like Obi-Wan and Ahsoka flat-footed. Plus, Bane specializes in layered traps. He turns ventilation shafts, narrow halls, and hostage standoffs into lethal setups. Hostages aren't collateral damage, they're leverage tools that freeze Jedi into impossible choices: save innocents or fight him. It's high-tech meets Wild West, and it's brutally effective. Here's where it gets dark. Most victims underestimate just how ready Bane always is. Jedi walk right into his traps thinking the Force will save them. It doesn't. His breathing gear renders Force choke useless. Rocket boots let him vanish before reactions can fire. Traps ensure every botched move feeds right into his hands. And once hostages are involved, mercy goes out the window. His mindset, cold, pragmatic, and utterly merciless. He'll use civilians as shields without a second thought, disappear in a puff of smoke, and only fight when he's 100% sure the odds are tilted in his favor. So how do you survive Cad Bane? First, deny him prep time. His strength is setting the battlefield. Catch him off guard, and you strip away all those deadly ambushes. Second, avoid his ideal fights. Spaces with verticality and places to hide or climb. Hostage situations, that's his playground. Cramped corridors filled with innocents, you're at a massive disadvantage. Third, target his breathing tubes and rocket boots early. Take those out, and suddenly the guy who was impossible to choke or outmaneuver is vulnerable. Lastly, stay invisible. Cad Bane is a professional, not a random criminal. Keep away from contracts and gang politics, and you might never cross his path. Fans call him the peak non-Force Jedi hunter. Chessmaster cunning mixed with gunslinger grit wrapped in one lethal package. His fights with Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Ahsoka still get people hyped years later. Even after deaths, rumors of his return keep him one of Star Wars' darkest wildcards. If you think Cad Bane's tough, wait for the Empire's own Jedi hunter. Next up, the Grand Inquisitor. The Grand Inquisitor. The Grand Inquisitor is a nightmare forged from betrayal. A former Jedi Knight who turned his back on the Order to become one of its deadliest hunters. But here's the kicker. He's not a Sith Lord, yet somehow his mastery of the dark side and lightsaber combat makes him one of the most lethal assassins the galaxy has ever seen. Before you scoff at the not a Sith part, hear me out. out. The Grand Inquisitor doesn't just swing a double-bladed lightsaber, he wields it with the precise elegance of Form 2 Makashi, a style all about finesse, economy of movement, and surgical strikes. Perfect for dueling, it turns him into a nightmare in one-on-one fights. Unlike most dark-side users who rely on brute force, he spins his double-bladed saber on a unique rotating ring hilt, creating a swirling vortex of energy that's as dazzling as it is deadly. That spinning blade forms a barrier nearly impossible to penetrate and overwhelms opponents relying on traditional defenses. But he doesn't stop there. The Grand Inquisitor blends this with force powers like telekinesis, letting him throw and choke enemies at range, plus enhanced agility that lets him close distance with terrifying speed. Add his psychological warfare, the way he uses fear and intimidation to break his quarry's resolve before a single hit, and you get a hunter who's both swordmaster and mindbreaker. The fatal mistake most make? Underestimating the precision and unorthodox nature of his saber fighting. Jedi treating him like a Sith apprentice swinging blindly get caught off guard by his spinning techniques. They try to duel conventionally, only to be sliced or knocked off balance by unpredictable blade maneuvers. Non-Force users fall victim to his telekinetic reach, thinking distance means safety until he pulls them into the open, or worse, surviving a run-in with the Grand Inquisitor looks like this. If you're non-Force sensitive, stay far away. Avoid any association with Jedi. Do not offer sanctuary or support to the hunted, because that's a target on your back. For Force users, adaptation is key. Don't fight head-on. Instead, hit and run. Overload his spinning saber with debris, rubble, broken objects to disrupt its rotation and open him up. Fight in cramped spaces where his wide arcs can't sweep and his agility is limited. Most importantly, stay emotionally disciplined. He thrives on fear and hesitation. What makes the Grand Inquisitor terrifying is how he combines elite lightsaber finesse, dark side powers, and psychological warfare into a perfect storm against Jedi survivors. He's the prototype Inquisitor, proving you don't have to be a Sith Lord to be a cosmic level threat, not when you've mastered the art of swords and fear alike. But if you think the Grand Inquisitor is bad, wait until you meet the deadly Night Sister assassin who makes this dark style even more unpredictable. Next up, Asajj Ventress. Asajj Ventress. Asajj Ventress is like a dark storm, sweeping through the galaxy, a force shaped by betrayal, dark magic, and relentless combat skill. Born a Dathomirian Night Sister, she started as a Jedi Padawan, but was cast aside after her master's death. That rejection drove her into the dark side, where Count Dooku took her as a Sith apprentice and deadly assassin. But Ventress isn't your typical Sith lackey. She mixes Sith training, Night Sister heritage, and mercenary ruthlessness into a fighting style that's unpredictable and terrifying. Her signature weapons are curved hilt red lightsabers, used in dual saber form for rapid flurries or locked together as a double-bladed staff for sweeping attacks, giving her crazy tactical range. With lightsaber forms inspired by Makashi's precision and agility, she flips and spins around enemies with lightning-fast strikes that leave opponents reeling. The biggest edge, her dark side force powers. Telekinesis to move the battlefield, choking enemies from afar, and enhanced agility that lets her vanish or strike from above without warning. She's not just muscle, Ventress uses emotional manipulation like a weapon. She mocks enemies' beliefs, taunts Jedi with her painful past, and flirts dangerously when it unsettles them. She's a wild card, ready to switch allegiances if it benefits her, holding grudges but willing to bargain when profit or revenge calls. This emotional complexity makes her less predictable, turning fights into psychological chess matches as much as physical battles. The fatal mistake, underestimating her adaptability and layered personality. Many Jedi see her as just Dooku's tool, not realizing she flips loyalties and tactics on a dime. They misread her saber flourishes as showboating, missing how she shifts attack range and style in real time. Non-Force foes who face her up close figure out quick. Blasters and blades won't keep up with her dark powers and acrobatics unless you rush her mercilessly and keep pressure on. What's the survival plan? First, exploit her divided loyalties. Hint at greater gain from switching sides or targeting mutual enemies to buy a truce or time. Coordinated attacks from multiple angles. Beat one-on-one duels by forcing her to juggle saber forms and defenses, creating opening. Most importantly, close quarters are your best friend. Her flair depends on room to spin and flip. Tight corridors blunt her acrobatic style and snuff out ranged force assaults. Lastly, fight her mind as much as her body. Playing on her pain and mistrust can crack her focus, turning her ruthlessness inward. Here's the thing, she's one of the deadliest wildcards in the galaxy. Sith training builds powerful lightsaber masters, but Night Sister dark magic and emotional unpredictability finish the job. This combo makes Ventress not just a killer, but a swirling storm of combat and chaos. Approach her like a chess game with a deeply wounded but vicious opponent who knows every trick, and expect to be outmaneuvered unless you stay several moves ahead. But if you think handling a Night Sister Sith assassin is tough, wait until you hear about Darth Maul, the ultimate survivor survivor of a brutally broken Sith training. Darth Maul is the apex predator of the dark side, an unstoppable force cloaked in rage, obsession, and a near-immortal resilience. Wielding his iconic double-bladed lightsaber staff, Maul's combat style is less about measured duels and more a whirlwind of brutal aggression. He's a master of Form 7 Juyo, a lightsaber form that channels pure ferocity and unpredictability, turning every confrontation into a deadly dance of blades and fury. This style isn't just flashy, it's devastatingly effective, overwhelming opponents with relentless offense that leaves very little room for defense or recovery. But here's the kicker. Most people assume Maul's death in The Phantom Menace was final. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. After being sliced in half and flung down a reactor shaft, he somehow clings to life through raw force hatred and sheer willpower. This near supernatural survival elevates him from fearsome Sith apprentice to a vengeful myth who stalks his prey across decades. Extended duels that feed his rage, exactly what a fool would do, only empower him further. Flashy, drawn-out fights are an invitation for his relentless assault. His survival is basically a testament to how far sheer, blinding fury can carry a being who refuses to die. What does survival actually look like when facing Maul? For non-Force users, the smartest move is to avoid his notice altogether. Maul hunts the powerful, Jedi, Sith, crime lords. If you're just a low-profile smuggler or civilian, don't make waves or strike deals with anyone tethered to him. Keep your head down and your business quieter than a Jawa on a moonless night. Because once you're marked, death isn't a question of if, but when. His network of spies and assassins extends far beyond his personal lightsaber, making him a danger even if he's nowhere near. For Jedi and other Force sensitives, surviving Maul requires ironclad emotional discipline. He's a shark-smelling blood. He thrives on chaos and fury. Obi-Wan's legendary victory on Tatooine wasn't a flashy blowout, but a study in calm, measured defense. By refusing to surrender to anger or aggression, Obi-Wan anticipated Maul's signature moves and ended the duel before Maul could unleash his full Juyo onslaught. This mental chess game is often overlooked. Maul's power is as much about psychological torment as it is physical destruction. Terrain and tactics matter too. Maul's double-bladed saber staff demands space for spinning strikes and wide arcs, so using tight corridors, low ceilings, or cluttered environments can blunt his reach and force him into less effective attacks. But don't expect to pin him down easily. His agility and force-enhanced reflexes let him leap and dodge like a demon born from pain itself. In underground tunnels or cramped urban alleys, you might get a slight edge, but only if you stay focused and don't get overwhelmed by his aggressive momentum. Trying to beat Maul at his own game, extended flashy combat fueled by hatred, is a fatal mistake. It's like poking a sleeping rancor with a glowing stick. He's a predator who not only survives but thrives on chaos and brutality. The only real victory is controlling the fight's tempo, or better yet, making your escape before the battle even begins. When possible, Maul's enemies learn quickly that discretion beats valor. His skill with manipulation and cunning means physical fights are often avoidable. Over decades, Maul grew from a nearly silent Sith apprentice to a crime lord with a sprawling underworld network, surviving betrayals, exile, and encounters with Jedi Masters. This makes him not just a combat threat, but a psychological one, obsessed with revenge and wielding terror as much as his lightsaber. If you find yourself on his hit list, count yourself unlucky, and consider that running away might be your smartest move. His resilience turns every defeat into fuel, every slight into fresh hatred. There are few enemies more relentless or more dangerous. In fan circles, Maul is legendary for his dramatic survival and complex arc. From a terrifying visual icon whose narrative seemed cut short to a tragic figure driven by pain and vengeance across multiple series, his final duel with Obi-Wan isn't proof of weakness, but of mastery, of patience, knowledge, and the power of emotional control over blind rage. Maul isn't just an unstoppable fighter. He's a lesson in why fury alone can be as much a weakness as a strength. Facing Darth Maul means facing the ultimate dark side menace, a relentless obsession fused with raw power and near immortality. The survival protocols? Avoid his notice entirely if you're mortal, or master your mind and strikes if you're a Jedi. Either way, you're dealing with mythic danger. It's the kind where flashing lightsabers and furious screeches are just the start of how terrifying he actually is. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, click the video on the screen now.